Hi, my name is Stacy and I've been working with Tommy for about 16 months now. I started working with Tommy when I was about 7 weeks post-op. Unfortunately, this is not my first ACL tear. In 2019, I tore and had surgery for my right ACL, and at that time I had what many would describe as an uneventful recovery. My early recovery went pretty smoothly. I hit my flexion extension milestones pretty quickly post-op. I hit 80% strength symmetry around 3 months, and I progressed on to running. I even ran a half marathon pretty early on, and everyone just kept telling me about how good I was doing and that I was just having a model of recovery. Now, I am a martial artist. I do karate, I do kickboxing. I'm also a runner and a generally really active person. After my first ACL tear, I did return to non-contact karate at 9 months post-op, and I was set to return to contact around 12 months, which has coincided with when the pandemic started. So my actual return to karate was significantly delayed. I did eventually return, but I struggled for months with confidence, with range of motion, and not really having any plan whatsoever to return to where I was at my pre-injury level. I scoured the internet for other martial artists who returned to their discipline, trying to figure out how exactly they did that, but I found very little. While my knee didn't bother me, mentally I just did not feel prepared, and I was very anxious and timid. After months of struggle, I did eventually return to competitive sparring and became a black belt candidate, but my success was short-lived. In 2022, about 3 months before I was going to take my black belt test, I tore my left ACL, and this was a red alert for me, and I immediately started looking for answers about why this happened. If my previous recovery was so good, then why did this happen to me? I thought that I had muscle symmetry. I had been strength tested during my first rehab. However, in my research, I realized that I never strengthened my non-operative side, and I had no plan in place even to maintain. So in the end, I was actually no stronger than I was when I first tore my ACL. So after my second surgery, I did return to my previous PT clinic for rehab, but it seemed absolutely crazy for me to do the same thing again and expect different results. I realized that 2 to 3 hours a week in that PT clinic was just simply not enough for me to gain the strength that I needed. I knew before my injuries that I spent way more than 3 hours a week training at the dojo, so it just didn't make sense to me how 3 hours a week would get me back to where I was before. I was strongly considering joining a virtual ACL program by that point, but I was still just a little bit skeptical about how I had received feedback without having someone there in person to watch me. What ended up being the turning point for me was when I had a fill-in PT one day when my regular PT was out sick. And it was obvious to me that she had not had time to open my chart. She just handed me a really generic list of table exercises. And she's also double booked with another patient. And I told her that those weren't my exercises I was doing anymore. And she was, oh, well, you've been through ACL rehab before, so I guess you know what you should be doing. And I was like, no, I don't know what I should be doing. If I did, I wouldn't have had a second ACL tear. Something is really clearly wrong here, and I really want someone to help figure it out with me. And for that whole session, I just exercised independently without any feedback. And the very next day, I ended up signing up with Tommy. That was truly my breaking point there. And I knew that I had to do something different. I actually had interviewed, I think, over 5 different virtual ACL coaching programs before I decided on joining All in ACL. And what ended up helping me with my decision was that I felt that I was getting the most personalized attention from Tommy and that he truly heard my concerns. I also cited prior experience with working with other martial artists and people with multiple injuries. So that was very important to me. And then I also looked up Tommy's credentials, and as a healthcare provider myself, I really saw the value of his specialty residency and training, and I knew that I would be working with an expert. During our very first phone call, he immediately understood my issues. I felt heard, I felt validated, and I just felt so relieved that he was already able to give me a very detailed plan about what rehab would be like for me and how we would get me back to the dojo. And he just took away so much uncertainty and doubt that I was feeling. At this point in my rehab, I've returned to karate. I'm looking forward to finishing here in the next month or two. I'm running. I have just about quadrupled my baseline strength, and I can confidently say that I'm stronger than I've ever been before in my life, and I absolutely love strength training now. Strength training has changed my life in so many ways, both in and out of the dojo, and it's truly been one of the best investments that I've ever made in myself. My workouts with Tommy are integrated in with my karate schedule, and I absolutely love the flexibility of that. And if I happen to have any issues that come up while I'm at karate, I'm able to ask Tommy right away and have my concerns addressed, have my schedule adjusted, whatever I need based on how I'm feeling at the dojo. I would absolutely recommend Tommy's program to anyone that's had an ACL injury, and I would suggest that you not wait to join either. I only wish that in 2019, when I had my first injury, I could have joined a virtual coaching program and benefited from working with an ACL expert rather than having to suffer a second injury before I did so. At this point, I'm just so grateful for all that I've learned throughout this experience. It's made 2 very negative events in my life into something very positive. And I'm so optimistic about being able to finally test for a black belt later this year.